Today we're making a pork version of the Filipino dish called beef steak. So on this one we're going to be using bone-in pork chops. For those not familiar with the Filipino beef steak, it's a saucy, thinly sliced beef with the saltiness and tanginess from the soy sauce and the lemon. This is a simple dish with strong flavor and very easy to make. Here are the ingredients you're going to be needing for this dish. You're going to be needing some lemons, a whole onion, soy sauce, and some thin-cut pork chops. Try to get them as thin as possible so that when you marinate them, it doesn't take long. I suggest marinating them overnight to absorb all that flavor. So first thing what we're going to do is we're going to squeeze our lemons and create our marinade. So we finished squeezing our lemons and we're using about 1 cup worth of it. Now we're going to be adding in our soy sauce. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a 1-to-1 ratio, which is 1 cup of lemon juice with 1 cup of soy sauce. Mix it well. Also, you can add in pepper to this if you prefer. Now you got it all mixed. Taste it. See if you like the flavor. For me, personally, I prefer it on the tangy side, so I really prefer with more lemon. So I'm gonna use less soy sauce and more on the lemon side. Yep, that is perfect. Also, make sure your marinade is perfect because after this, you can't taste it anymore because of course you're gonna have the pork, the raw meat on it. So we're just gonna add in a little pepper. Stir again. Now we're gonna be marinating our pork chops. So again, our pork chops are pretty thin and it still has the bone in it. So we're gonna place them in a marinade. And I would highly suggest marinating this overnight so it absorbs all that flavor. Also, it depends on how thick your pork are. If they're thick, of course, you're gonna need to marinate it for a long time for that flavor to set in. So we're just gonna place this in our marinade and we're gonna marinate it for at least 6 hours to absorb that flavor. And then we'll be back once the marinade is done. After marinating our pork, we pulled it out and now we're ready to cook. Also, make sure you constantly turn the pork around when you're marinating it. We're gonna start cooking our onions. So just like before, we cut our onions into rings, kind of like we're making onion rings. We're gonna set our heat to medium-high. Now we're gonna add in some oil and begin sauteing our onions. Also keep in mind, we're only partially cooking the onions. We still want that stiffness and for it to hold its shape. So we're only gonna cook it for about probably a couple of minutes. So as you notice, it's starting to get soft. Remove the ones that's already soft and so these should be all good. Again, you don't want it too soft because you still want it to hold its shape. So remove all the onions and set it aside. Now on the same pan, we're gonna brown our pork chops. Now at this time, we're just gonna lightly brown it. After a couple of minutes, flip it to the other side. And that should be it. We're not fully cooking it right now. We're just slightly browning it because we're still gonna simmer it later. So remove the pork and add in the next batch. Continue doing this until you cook the rest of the meat. Now after partially browning our pork, we're gonna place them all back in and also add in the marinade. Now we're gonna add in our marinade. Next thing we're gonna do is cover it and simmer it. Reduce your heat and simmer it for about 20 minutes until the pork is completely cooked and nice and tender. We're gonna be reducing that sauce so it's nice and tangy. After simmering for about 15 minutes, let's go check on our meat. Check for tenderness. Still a little stiff, so we're going to continue cooking that for another 10 minutes. So far I cooked it for 15 minutes, so let's just continue cooking it for until the meat are soft. And as you notice, it's becoming more soupy now because the juice from the meat are coming out. This is normal. So let's cover it and continue cooking it until soft. Let's go check on our pork. By now it should be fork tender. So this is pretty much done. Usually I like the sauce nice and thick. So there's two ways of doing this. I can either remove the pork and just the sauce simmer until reduced, or I can just leave everything open like this and just do a low simmer and let it reduce. But for now, I'm craving kind of like something a little saucy, so I'm gonna leave it as is. It's up to you on how you want it. If you want it more potent, you might want to reduce that sauce. So, one last time, check for seasoning, see if the flavor is good. It's very good. So, for those of you that don't know what Bistek is, it's pretty much beef, thinly sliced, and the flavor you're getting is salt and tanginess from the soy sauce and the lemon. Oh, and also, if you have calamansi, it's best with calamansi other than lemon. Unfortunately, my 2 calamansi trees don't have that much, so I'm stuck with using lemon. So, but this is the pork version, so I'm using pork chop instead of just the beef strips or beef. So this is pretty much done. What we're gonna do now is add in our onions. That's why you don't want it fully cooked or totally soft, because you still want that shape, to hold its shape. It's supposed to be like rings, but it doesn't matter. You can do any type you want. If you want it totally soft, you can leave it. You can fully cook that onion. And just like that, our dish is done. All we need now is to plate. Here's our finished dish. Pork steak. The pork version of Filipino beef steak. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe. It sure is an easy one to make, so please give it a try home and let me know what you think in the comments. Until then, thank you for watching and we'll see you in the next one.